Welcome everybody to the Black Delegates Podcast. Today's date is March the 11th, 2018. I'm your host, the Black Ryan. We're here for another week this week, and this week we got the usual suspects. We got Ghetto Phenom.
Yo, what's good?
We got Paul on the line.
What's up, fellas?
And our special guest will be known as G.
What's
up, G?
Yo.
All right. So, what's going on, fellas? I guess we can go around the horn and do our week in blackness. Let's start off with Ishmael.
Yo, what's good? This week in blackness, and I knew you were gonna pick me first, and I didn't really have anything particularly in mind. This week was pretty black, though, man. I told you last week. Well, last week we didn't really get to record. We had some snafus. But I had an uncle that passed away, and so his funeral was on Friday. So it's a pretty black funeral. He, in his heyday, he was a blues promoter and did a lot of blues stuff. He also had like a little comedy rap album. So we talked about that and got to reminisce about that at the funeral. But I think the best black thing that happened to me this week. Saturday, I had this little work event where I had to go do like a media seminar, and it was a bunch of people in the city of St. Louis, or not even from the city, just different municipalities. I guess they meet together. They trying to just improve their neighborhoods or whatever. So they had this media training session where they asked, I was there, somebody from the Post-Dispatch, somebody from St. Louis Public Radio, and they just asked us questions on how to get better media coverage for their neighborhoods or how the media works. And so just sitting on that panel, and like everybody there really was black except for, a couple of people that were facilitators. So just being there, sitting able to talk to black people from all around the area, it was just pretty cool to do. So I enjoyed that.
All right, sounds good. And what about you, Paul? How was your week in brownness?
Man, my week in brownness was extra brown this weekend. It was, the brownest I've had in a while. So I got a little story to tell. So,
oh snap!
So your boy lives out in the suburbs. Got a little, coming up on a little money. So the suburbs, so I've reached the point in life where I no longer mow my own lawn. So had a company last few years come out and mow the lawn. All things are good and whatnot like this. Well, over the winter, I decided to go with a new company. So called this new company, saw the advertisement. They had stuck some little flyers in my mailbox back in the winter. So I'm like, okay, well, this price looks good. Let me call around and get them out here. Never seen them out here before. Then this week they came out here and finally mowed the lawn because it's getting hot out here in Charlotte. And the whole crew, all white people. And let me tell you how good it felt to see an entire crew of people mowing my lawn, a brown guy, all white people. And I was like, never felt prouder. So my wife heard the lawnmowers firing up. And so I was like, I was like, maybe that's the neighborhood association mowing. And so she said, no, I think that's they're out on our lawn. So I went upstairs and looked out the window. And I looked at, at first I just assumed it was going to be some Hispanic guys, because that's how it always is. And, in years past, I'd always have this mixed feeling like, man, I'm a brown dude, and this crew of brown dudes, and it's hot as hell out there, and I got them mowing the lawn. But then I'd sit there and, I'd say to myself, self, man, it's too hot out there. I'm just gonna leave them this 30 and just leave them hell alone, but get out there and mow my lawn.
Hey.
But I was never messing with them. Go ahead, G.
Hey, so did you take the Coronas back to the store and switch them to Natty Lights?
Hey, no, this is a straight white people operation. So it's straight. I don't even see them. It's all like direct deposit or online transfer, a little $36, whatever like that. But they come and handle it. But hey, look, I was looking out that window. I was beaming with pride, dog. You never seen my smile so proud. I was like, yeah, I done made it, baby. Done made it.
I got the white man cutting your grass.
Upside down, man.
And look, let them miss a spot. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be calling them every 5 minutes. Hey, you better get back out here, you better come out here and edge the side of the yard. So anyway, your boy done made it. He's got a whole crew of white people mowing his lawn. So hey, I'm successful.
Man, you should have sat on the porch.
I was just thinking that.
Hey, every Thursday when they come, I'm gonna be sitting out there, just looking out there. I'm on my wife beater and have my jean shorts on with the white socks pulled up high, with a Corona in my hand and just be looking at them like, don't miss a spot.
You might as well sit out there with a plate of watermelon.
But dog, yeah. So that was fun. That's exciting for me. That's about as science as it gets out here in the suburbs for me. But that was some little bit of pride for myself. So what about you, G?
First,
crap! I forgot.
You got to do the introduction.
My bad.
We heard him talk a little bit already, but Ryan, I'm gonna let you do the introduction for the new player on the team.
Is there an introduction?
Well, so people know. You don't have to do an introduction, I guess. Not a formal one, but just so people know. I guess you did say, we got a new member of the team, but G is here. It's his first time on the show, so we do want to officially welcome you. Appreciate you being on.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a long time coming.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so, Ryan, let's let you go, because you ain't told yours, and then G will have his chance to do it at the end. So, Ryan, what's your Week in Blackness look like?
Okay. All right, so my Week in Blackness was pretty much as black as usual. I got a chance to, now that I'm an international podcast superstar, I was invited on another podcast. It is, yes, sir, thank you for the applause. And y'all better get used to it, man. Y'all better treat me right over here, because it's a lot of people that want my company, man, on these podcasts. So, I was asked on another one right afterwards, and I was like, nah, I'm too busy. I got things to do. I had to turn down a podcast. So that's how life is these days.
Superstar.
Yeah. I'm a superstar. I'm sorry. But, I got to be on, it is called, so it's on YouTube for now. It's called The Well-Dressed Nerd. And this particular podcast was called Nerd Life on Fire. So we just did it wasn't a short podcast. It was fairly long, but just talking about, it was supposed to be about faith and family, but some kind of way it ended up being like, a deep conversation about God and spirituality. It was, it was pretty cool though. But it was a very cordial conversation. I appreciate them. Shout out to Brave, the host over there, and Afote, who was also on the show. So I got to do that, and that was pretty much it, man. I mean, other than that,
you're in demand, baby. I like that.
Yeah, I was in demand. They asked me back. I recorded that one on Thursday night, and then they was doing another show for another podcast on Friday night, and was like, hey, we got a spot if you want to be on, man. I really want to be on, but I was up on the phone with them brothers till about 2 a.m. Close to it. It was a long time, man, and I didn't get no sleep, so I couldn't pull that back to back. I'm old.
Yeah, I had to check it out, man. I saw when you sent the text after you were done. I'm like, dang, this podcast was forever. Like, they did a whole season. But I definitely had to check it out. Looking forward to it. So, G, now you get the idea of what we do on This Week in Blackness. So, on your first show, man, what's your Week in Blackness look like?
Let's see. My Week in Blackness probably was a little gray. Am I the only black person that hasn't seen Black Panther yet?
Yes.
Probably.
Just
about.
Yeah.
I was having a couple.
I saw it twice.
I was having a conversation with 3 coworkers. Of course, all 3 were white, and Black Panther came up, and so I'm just sitting there. Everybody just working their way around the conversation, and he gets to me, and I'm like, "Oh, I haven't seen it yet," and everybody just kind of just looked at me. I was like, okay, I get it. I'm just going to go on over here. But yeah, that's my Week in Blackness.
Yeah, that's the way it bees, man. Like, when I went hooping on Saturday, and we have like a little discussion when we hoop, we have a little talk amongst men, and so that was a topic, and it was like 80%, 90% of the guys had seen it, but it was a couple that hadn't seen it, and they just like ostracized. Like, everybody look at them like, man, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
status is under review.
Hey, that's exactly the look I got.
Yeah, man, you need to correct that. You and the wife need to go and check that out, man, ASAP. Yeah. He don't sound like he's in too much of a hurry.
No, I'm gonna wait till the little
Don't feel
bootleg.
bad. I haven't seen it yet either, but I want to check it out.
I'm gonna wait till the bootleg guy gets it.
so let's get into the topics today, fellas. So, I guess my first bit of news that I want to start off with, a little bit of sad news, but I was kind of expecting it, unfortunately. ESPN, SC6, so the Sports Center 6 o'clock. We all know Jamele Hill was not moved off the show. She left the show. It was Michael Smith remaining by himself, and now Michael Smith has reportedly is leaving the set of that Sports Center 6. I got a Washington Post article that kind of ran through that information, and I don't know if y'all got a chance to check that out and see, or did you notice that he wasn't going to be on there? I know that he wasn't going to be on there for this week coming up. Paul,
I definitely
you watched that a little bit more, so what did you think about it?
I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, last time we talked about this, it definitely was, you saw it coming. I'm surprised it actually took that long. I don't know why he didn't leave like a couple months ago. I really don't know why both of them didn't leave over the summer after they really just, shut down the whole format of the show the way they had envisioned. So if you're not going to let them be them, I don't see what the point of being there. But hey, those dudes getting paid. I know they signed new contracts when they got that show. And so I guess they're still in a contract for several more years. So they're not leaving ESPN. So, get that paper. But, they just didn't stick with the experiment that long. But I hope they just go on and, maybe bring back their old podcast. I really like their old podcast. I know, Ron, I know you used to like their old podcast too. So
yeah.
Although, let's be honest though, Jamele is the star of that duo. I mean, they get along well and they have a good rapport, but she's the star. So
yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know, man. They kind of like Isaiah and Dumars. They kind of just go back and forth off each other, man.
I agree with both of you guys. I agree.
Did you watch it? Did you see how his interaction was since Jamele left? Or
we always have it on at the house here, and it was just any other sports center, just with one dude on there, and it was just him on there. But it was just plain old. I mean, it could have been any sports center guy from when we were kids, or any of the people from the last 10 years. It was really no different. Just one dude instead of having two hosts. It was just him.
What about you, G?
Weak.
Actually, I haven't seen the show since he's been by himself.
You're not missing anything, believe me.
Now, to be honest with you, I've kind of gotten away from ESPN a little bit. But when I would catch both of them on there, I would kind of stay and watch. They're kind, I kind of dig them, but I've been kind of moving away from ESPN.
What about you, Ish? Did you watch it at all?
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it since it left either, and I really hadn't seen a whole lot when they were there together. I mean, I watched some in the beginning, but like G, so many things on TV now to watch, and so it's like I just don't watch SportsCenter all that much, especially they were on at 6, and that's usually
drive time for
just
me.
Getting home from work, or I'm getting home a little bit later, and so to try to go back and catch it is just easier now, just to go on ESPN and check it out, or go on Yahoo Sports or whatever, just go on my websites or go on my phone and just check out what I missed. So I had not been watching it as much, but I am sad that they broke that up, but I'm not surprised at all that he left.
So I'm the person. Go ahead, G.
I thought the writing was on the wall with the whole Jamele Hill stuff. You could kind of see it. And then once she left, I was like, it's not even the same now.
Yeah. Like I said, it was hype when they first started because they had the cool intros, they had the cool set, but they didn't let them be them in that setting. It was like, they were talking, but it's their show. Their format is really better when they're just talking to each other about whatever, just random stuff. That's the best stuff of their podcast.
Right.
So it just didn't work all around. But I like them as people and as personalities, and they play well together. But it just wasn't the right fit, I guess.
So the article says specifically that about a month ago they said that Michael Smith expressed some frustration on a podcast. It doesn't say what podcast it was, though. I wish I had figured out what that was, but it wasn't something I listened to. But he said what pissed him off was that he said they acknowledged that the strength that they had was him and Jamele's chemistry, and they basically told them, stop talking to each other. so much because they were talking too much, which that's what makes the podcast great is that they talk to each other and man, their rapport was cool. And I miss that podcast, man. I listened to that a lot and I didn't care what they were talking about.
But also you're talking about like, that's when the person that was in charge of the programming, he went to drug rehab. And so he left ESPN. So he was like the person that basically gave them the show. And then he left, and the person that's now in charge, like, I don't think he's really a big fan of theirs. And so he's in charge there now. So I think that's when they started stripping down the show, removing the sets, removing all the cool intros. So basically all these, directions that basically forced their hand and got rid of them anyway. So that seems, it's political kind of thing going on, but whatever.
Then it looks like on Twitter, it looks like just a fan has said that he thought that it was the chemistry between him and Jamele that suffered or made the show suffer after she left. And Michael Smith replied back, and this is March 7th, so it was pretty recent. He said, respectfully, basically Jamele leaving had nothing to do with it. He said there was a philosophical shift some time ago from the flavor to what you see now.
Yeah, that was over the summer, exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's when they changed it from being more letting them talk about social issues and non-sports stuff, and they shifted to try to
it just
Jamele Hill stuff.
Yeah, right. It was just plain Sports Center. They said, hey, okay, we tried this for a few months, it didn't work. Let's go. Or we didn't want it to work, and then they just let's go back to a plain Sports Center, but with these two people here, and that's trash. So get rid of it.
Yeah, and the odd thing about that was, like I said, I watch less ESPN now, at least like Sports Center, stuff like that. Right. And there was a point in time where I was like, you know what? I'm like, Jamele and Michael Smith are on here. Like, they promoting them. They giving them, bread and spending money for them to do this. I was like, I need to start watching that again. And that was like right when all that stuff started happening between her and Trump and whatnot. And so that's when the show completely changed. So I was like, dang, I really didn't get to watch it except for the first couple episodes.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Yeah.
See, I'm looking at you just like the guys that looked at when he said he didn't watch Black Panther. I'm looking at y'all like, what are y'all doing?
I'm gonna bleep out your name every time somebody say it. I'm just gonna put it.
It's gonna be like beep.
Right. They gonna be like, why they doing that? All right. Speaking of high-native identity, I'm sure the principal or the acting officials over there at the South Cumberland Elementary School in Tennessee is trying to hide their own identity because apparently all this time they've been having a painting up of the Confederate flag and a mural depicting lynchings in their middle school gymnasium.
Yo,
somebody thought that was a good idea. It's a middle school.
What
do you think about that, Ishmael?
Man, you know what I think about that idea. I mean, it's crazy. We obviously in this country, we had a big shift over the past, maybe 2 years to where, the Confederate flag, which is the flag of the traitors, the people who tried to leave the nation, they've been flying the Confederate flag down south for years, saying it's Southern pride, and really it's the flag of the traitor. So last couple of years, we finally gotten that where people are starting to take that down. But at this school, again, in Tennessee, you not only have image of, the Rebel Barracks, I guess is the team mascot or whatever, or the team name.
Yeah.
So you got the little rebel with the rebel flag. And then you got a person from the North, from the Union, in blue, hanging. And luckily, it's not a black person. I believe that when this mural was originally drawn or originally thought up, it probably was
black. Yeah.
It probably
was black.
But still, why did you think that it is appropriate to have a man hanging with somebody with a Confederate flag, like you said, in a middle school?
Wait, no. Elementary school, sorry.
Yeah, I thought it was elementary. Y'all said middle. Yeah. So in an elementary school, you trying to reach these kids at a young age. They know what they doing, man. That's crazy.
Okay, so let me just put my little 2 cents in. So I've actually been to this town. I've spent several nights in this town, unfortunately, close by in my work when I lived in Tennessee. So I've been there. Of course, I didn't go to the elementary school or anything like that, but just Yeah, it's pretty rural there. It's actually right off the highway, off Interstate 40, just past Cookeville, and getting on the way to Knoxville. So it's between Nashville and Knoxville, and it's a main town on there. So I've stopped in there and had to stop there for work and stayed a few nights. And yeah, it's pretty redneck there. It's pretty rural. Your boy was not out there partying the streets, but the hotels were pretty average and the restaurants were pretty boring. But yeah, just stayed in my hotel room. But I've been to that town, and that lets me know I'm not staying there anymore.
Yo, this says that the complaint was first made in December by a concerned janitor of a nearby elementary school. So not even that school. Everybody thought it was okay.
Right.
What you think, G?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking like Paul. I was like, there's got to be some rural town where where they don't even trip off that. They're okay with that.
Yeah, it's rural, but it's not that rural. It's like right off the interstate. But man, outside there, it is rural. Like I can tell you a story about a town not too far from there.
When you were there, I'm pretty sure you didn't see any people of color.
There are a few, but very few. I've seen a few because there's a college, maybe 20, 30 miles down the road, which is, what is it? Oh, Tennessee Tech University. And my wife's cousin played football there. So there are black people in that college town there, but that's this town right here is 30 miles up the road.
Well, let me know the black population of that middle school.
Oh, I'm sure it's 1%, 2%, something like that. Yeah, pretty crazy.
But you know what? It makes me think. It takes me back to when I was about 12 or 13, and I got family down in Mississippi, so I would go down there to visit family, and they still had colored on the school buses.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just like, this wouldn't fly back up north, and
right.
And they were telling me, oh, they don't mean nothing by, they just steal the old buses. I'm like, well, y'all got paint?
Y'all ain't got no yellow paint? Right.
Right.
They ain't got paint or paintbrushes.
Not that important. Not a problem.
Yeah, that was the attitude, so.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it too is that if you look at the article that you that we found about it,
and it's a CNN article, by the way.
Yeah, and we'll post a link in the show notes. But that image of the hanging and the rebel soldier and all of that, that's not the only thing. They also have a big giant Confederate flag, on the other end of the gymnasium.
Honestly, the lynching thing didn't like. I would probably, if I was a little kid, I probably wouldn't even pay attention to it. It's just the flag. I mean, that flag is massive. Like, how does nobody say it's not appropriate?
What if you're a black athlete, at a rival school playing in that gym?
Dunk on everybody.
You got to play
on everybody.
Right.
Remember, it's elementary school, so I think that's part of the reason why it probably flew too, because, they don't really have elementary leagues or whatever, so it's probably not a lot of outsiders coming into that school. So if they don't have a lot of black people there, and that's just how they feel there.
I thought it was a middle school. Oh, okay, elementary.
No, Ryan said middle school, but it's elementary school.
Okay, all right.
Man, it's just different when you live in those very rural communities. I mean, it's definitely a total shock for me when I had to go around places like that. I mean, obviously I didn't see anything like this, but it's just a different just those people when those rural towns they don't leave, man. They just been there the whole lives. The same people have been there for their whole lives, man. But I can tell you there are black people in those communities, and there may not be many, but there are black people around there, man. They stay quiet, I guess. It's just crazy.
Yeah. This tells you all you need to know about that area. So, and this is in the article. It says one Crossville resident told WZTV they had no problem with the mural. This is a quote that this person said. "It's part of our heritage and how they were brought up. So I just don't have a problem with flying the rebel flag," Wendy Reed said. "Kid hanging, that will bother me, but sometimes I think we just make it bigger than it needs to be." And I guess, Paul, that's you said that kind of too, that you ain't trip off the hanging kid. Like, to me, that's the worst part. Like, we got a kid hanging, and the fact that you got that Confederate flag with it, I mean, that just makes it even worse. But I guess, there's people out there that they ain't tripping off that. They just feel like that's just school spirit.
I think it's more like I think it's more like if you like stop and like actually look at it and then think about it. But like, I don't know, just how my brain works is like, I see something like that. And it's like, it's not really like nothing like, okay, I see some grass and I see a tree, but I'm not really paying attention to it. That doesn't, so I'm not really dissecting it. Like, what does this all mean? And what is this showing? But that big flag, that's to me, like, I mean, we all know what that means. And so that's more of a sore spot for me than that, whatever that image is. I ain't even paying attention to it. It looks ugly anyway.
Man, like this one guy quoted in there in the article, he said, "I guarantee the black kids saw it." And he's definitely right. Ain't none of us missed it. I see it every time. I be going to
that'd be the first
sometimes.
Thing.
If I see somebody with Confederate flags, I'm rolling out. I'm like, I ain't messing with you. I don't even want to see what you got.
If I walked in that gym and saw that, I'm instantly like, we are so not welcome here.
Yeah. Right. And man, it's starting to be a situation where I'm seeing more and more Confederate flags. I'm seeing, I was driving down the highway last weekend.
Trump effect.
Bunch of dudes standing on top of the overpass flying the rebel flag. I saw a smart car, believe it or not, with a Confederate flag on the back. Like,
you just got to tip that car over, man.
Right. When does that happen? And it's like nobody's trying to hide it anymore, man. And I'm fine with that because I want to know who you are. I don't want you hiding in the shadows. Like, if you racist, show you racist, and we can see that flag. We know you racist. But at the same time, the fact that they think it's okay and there's nothing wrong with it is a problem.
Yeah, that's that 45 effect, man. They feel like they're under attack. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, all these Southern heritages, they want to call it, values are being attacked. It's like, nah, y'all racist. And before y'all were in hiding, now it's normalized, so they want to come out in public. But I'm with you. Hey, at least I can identify you. I know where to watch my back.
Right.
And it is what it is.
And we all know there's nice guys on both sides.
On both sides. On all sides.
Yeah,
Great people on all sides.
Nazis, whoever. It doesn't matter. They're all nice guys. And speaking of nice guys, or nice women in general, did y'all read the article about the Florida teacher who not only had a white supremacy podcast, but she is then spreading white supremacy to her students at a middle school down in Florida?
Yeah, this is definitely the wildest story of the week, for sure.
Definitely the wildest story of the week. Man, I don't even know where to start at it, man. It's sad, and at the same time, I actually listened to maybe 10 or 15 minutes of that podcast where did you listen to any
got
of it?
Indoctrinated.
No, I didn't.
Man,
indoctrinated.
Hey, they had the audio on there, and I don't like speaking without hearing everything, and I want to know exactly what her tone was and all that kind of stuff so you could really get the true story. Dude, she thought what she was doing was right. She didn't have any remorse. She was laughing about the fact that a parent had tried to turn her in, and the principal kind of overlooked it and didn't think it was true, didn't even investigate it. She was basically laughing at him, and she was like, more teachers needed to do this. Man, it just and this is just one lady that we found out about. So imagine what could be happening, behind closed doors around this country. What you? I guess we can go to you, G. What you think about it, man?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, how long did this go on for?
Man, how long has she been working there?
Yeah.
A year or two, I think. At least
how long the podcast been going on, or she's been teaching this?
I don't know about that.
Oh, for a while, yeah. It's not new. I guess she's had big guests in that sphere of.
I feel like
ideology.
I feel like it goes back to the earlier conversation. This has to be some rural town. And
no, this is like Jacksonville or something like that, right?
She's in Crystal. Is it Crystal City?
Yeah, but I think it's like I think it's a suburb of Jacksonville.
Right, probably. Yeah. Probably a small suburb. But I mean, I think they knew about it. I mean, I don't think. Everybody's like, well, they didn't know nothing about it, and the school did something when a parent complained. But I mean, it's in this century. I mean, everybody, I just think they knew, and I don't think, until it became to light, that's when they made an issue about it.
Oh yeah, and I think they had to know, and just to have this audacity, because here's what she did, like on her podcast. She would tell how, she's a white supremacist and that she would call for other white supremacists to go become teachers.
Infiltrate,
so they could
yes.
Infiltrate. That's the word she used. So they could infiltrate the school system and, basically take over the ideas or, teach the kids at a young age, that whites are better than blacks. That's basically what they were doing. So she's purposely trying to indoctrinate these kids with these views. And so, of course, that kids are going to go home and they're going to talk to their parents about what goes on in school.
Right. And she was teaching this in her class, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
right. So,
she would podcast about it.
So, these kids were taking that stuff home. And their parents probably just looked the other way like, hey, I'm okay. That's what I believe.
She said basically when they would have like anybody coming into the school or where they would be checking up on her, she already warned her kids ahead of time that, hey, I'm going to start talking different and I'm going to be behaving different when they come in, but just know this is just what I'm doing for show and we're going to get back to what we were talking about when they leave. That's how it was, to the point where everybody knew what was going down, and that would happen regularly.
Oh, yeah.
Did you so like after this, like I guess I'm reading an article more recently. I guess she did get removed, and there's an investigation ongoing. But I guess she basically is using the defense that, oh, this is just satire and exaggeration. She didn't really believe in any of this stuff. Like who does that?
Right. Using her little pseudonym that used parts of her initials. She was stupid. Her Twitter handle had her picture on it. Come on, man.
Right, her real picture.
Yeah, real picture. Matter of fact, it's the same picture that they used for the article.
Dog, that's actually the most interesting thing about this. I mean, just how this like this no-name podcast nobody's ever heard of, and then they track it back to this chick and and break it all down, find out exactly who she is. I mean,
yeah,
man, there's some internet sleuthing going on there. It kind of scares me a little bit. So, but just know, hey, if my job's listening, just know I'm employing the same satire and exaggeration defense. So back off. It's just satire and exaggeration here, babies. That's all it is.
Yeah, and she was stupid because her little pseudonym name basically rhymed with her real name.
Right.
She had a real picture. And that's what I talked about with the last story is people were just becoming that much more bold. You know what I'm saying? Like, she really wasn't trying to hide it for real. Like, she was trying to do enough to where it's not that easy, but it wasn't that hard. They looked at her picture. They looked at where she was from, all the stuff that she was tweeting, and they found it out real quick. And now she's saying it's satire. What is it satire of? Like, what are you making light of in this situation? It's just, you just got caught being racist. Just admit it. Just be like, you know what? I do hate them darkies and I got busted. Right. It is what it is. Right. Just follow the sword.
And G, I apologize. You were right. It is actually a pre-rule. They said this is 80 miles north of Tampa, which there ain't nothing north of Tampa. So
it's got to be. It's got to be.
Makes sense.
Man, I don't want to get that an excuse no more these days, man.
Well, I mean,
that's a rural town now, it's like you connected with the whole world, though.
Well, it's not an excuse, but it's a reason for why it goes on.
Yeah,
right.
Because
how
long would that last if it happened around her? What, one podcast?
I hope so.
Right.
But how many people would she indoctrinate before she got caught? That's really the problem.
Well, like I said, rural area, they were already indoctrinated. So,
Yeah. Because one thing on here, she put one of her tweets, and I won't read the whole thing, but the last sentence says, I literally feel brain cells dying as I read this BS. And then she's got a picture of a book, and it says, Confronting Racism in Classrooms. Right. Really? So that's BS just because you're talking about confronting racism. Because of course it doesn't exist, even though you're a white supremacist teaching it to your white kids in your classroom. And you have black people in your schools too. It's not like this was an all-white school.
A more intriguing thing is the real reason whoever brought attention to this, the real reason why they brought attention to it.
Well, a lot of them said they didn't want their kids learning that kind of stuff in school.
Good.
Thank God that everybody in that little town wasn't racist. But,
well, they say that now when it's brought out to attention. But I mean, this probably was going on for a little while, and nobody said anything then.
So it says in the school year of 15 and 16, the school was 90% white, 4% black, 3% Hispanic. So it's not without any. I mean, but that's a small percentage. But still, man, can you imagine that lady being your teacher?
Can you imagine being black and going to that school?
Exactly.
Right.
Now, I mean, I guess
that's the only thing on my mind now that you just threw those numbers out. I'm sitting there like, I wonder if any of those black kids knew what was going on in that classroom. Like, like when they walking around the school, like, yeah, you stay away from that class. You know?
Yeah, man. When I was in elementary school for 5th grade, I had I went to a school called St. Williams. I think it's closed now. It was over across from the airport, and I left a place where it was a good mixed crowd. It was kind of half and half, you know, near my house, and then we went out there because that school closed. And I was one of 3 black kids in the entire school, including my sister, and then she had a little boy in her class that was black. And I'm going to say, man, that was my first bout with racism, period, where kids was calling me a nigger. Wow. Kids was throwing stuff at me. And it's like, this wasn't a situation where you could fight everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, everybody was in on it. Like, I would get, like, notes passed to me that said nigger, stuff like that. And I didn't know what a nigger was. And I asked my mom, like, what is that? Like, what is this word? Because we didn't never say it. Nobody said it. So I didn't know what it was. Apparently, I ain't watching on no TV shows. It ain't like now. But, yeah, and my mom went up to the school. I noticed, like, during Black History Month, we never talked about it, ever. We wouldn't mention it in class. We had Martin Luther King posters that would be torn in half randomly, you know. And at that point, I was too young to really know what it was. But, man, this is an elementary school, man. It only go to 8th grade. Kindergarten to 8th grade, and people was acting like that and calling other people niggers. I don't even know where you would learn something like that. I mean, I guess it's taught at your house. But, man, that was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life, where I never would fit in. I couldn't fit in. And shout out to this dude.
Hold on. Did you wear the Cardinals jacket? Did you wear the Cardinals jacket?
Hell no. That wouldn't have saved me at that point, man. These was real racist kids. And, man, it was a situation where my grades was dropping, man. I was always getting into fights. I had my boy, Chris Costner, was a white dude. He went to my old school with me, and we was friends when I came over, man. That dude, we would be fighting back to back, man. And sometimes he'll be like, you know, just stay out of it and I'll handle it. Man, I don't know how to reach that dude, but I just want to tell that dude, thank you, man. If he ever listens to this podcast or somebody know him, that was my dude, man. He stuck up for me, man. I appreciate that, because that was a horrible environment to be in as a kid.
Man, that's crazy. That is crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. And I know you said you didn't really understand what it meant, you know, but I can't imagine.
Well, hold on, I can flip this around. Because I went to nothing but, I finished up my high school in Virginia at an all-black high school. 98% black, 99% black. There were no white people or Hispanic people. Well, a few Hispanic people, but everybody was poor. It was extremely ghetto at this school. But, man, you know, I mean, you had run-ins and stuff like that, but I didn't have nothing like that. You know, people, you know, people say stuff, but, you know, for the most part, just assholes. But I don't know. It's more love, man. Just in the minority community. Everybody's just, you know, trying to make it. So I mean, you had your rough days and stuff like that, but man, nothing like that. I can't recall nothing like that. That's crazy.
I went to predominantly black schools. I'm talking about like 98% and up, from 4th grade through high school. So yeah, I couldn't fathom an experience like that.
Yeah,
right.
Man, it got to the point, like, once my grades was dropping, I remember having a D in math. Which, dude, I was on math league and all kind of stuff after that, man. I was, like, always on the honor roll. And I had a D in math, and my mother went up to the school and was asking my teacher, like, what was going on and how come I had a D. And she was just like, oh, I have no idea. And she was telling her that the kids was bothering me and, like, throwing stuff at me and stuff like that and calling me a nigga. And she was like, oh, I have no idea. I've never seen anything like that here at this school. She just totally turned a blind eye. I remember it was an Indian girl in my class. I remember she had, like, maybe 3 brothers, maybe 2 other siblings in the school, and she wouldn't talk to me because she said that she didn't want them to turn on her like they turned on me. She literally said that, man. She was like, I'm sorry. She said, I like you, but I can't talk to you.
She like, I don't want them problems.
Me.
Yeah, Ryan thought she was going to throw my lifeline. She said, no.
Man, it was horrible, dude. I ain't never felt nothing like that ever in my life, and I don't want to either.
I have Napoleon complex. I wouldn't have lasted at that school probably over a week.
Yeah.
And how long did you do there, Ryan? 2 years? A year?
Nah, I was only there a year, man. We got out of there.
I would have just been punching and slapping people every day.
Exactly. Hey,
No,
hey,
it was a thing where like, man, if I would get into a fight with somebody, like everybody would hold me so I couldn't fight them.
Oh
It was
man,
that
I would
kind
get.
of
I would have got jumped every day.
It was
That's
that kind of
crazy.
Every day.
Nobody really put their hands on me, but when I was getting ready
And
to
see,
do
I would have
something,
been
they would
putting my
always hold.
hands on people. Like I'd have opened a letter and been like, "What?" It just starts swinging on people.
Feet. Right. Exactly. They'd be like, I just passed it. I didn't write it. Well, too bad.
Exactly.
You just, too.
Exactly.
You're an accessory to that race.
Hey, I'm trying to. I'm trying to let a message be known. The same way I just got this message.
Yeah, man, Ryan, it was like prison. You got to kick somebody's ass the first day. Let them know, hey,
First
Man,
time.
hey, right. You better whisper that stuff.
Yo, who you fighting, man? I would have to fight everybody.
No,
No,
what the thing is, and this, I think what Paul is saying is the first time somebody did it, you beat them up bad enough to where nobody else even dares to
Oh
do it.
yeah.
Just
I'm
accuse
quite
somebody.
sure.
Who wrote this?
Man.
I think you wrote it.
Quite
Pow.
sure it wouldn't look like that.
just got to make somebody an example. That's all, man.
Yeah, exactly. Example.
It was fifth grade, man. It ain't like I was a grown man and I knew what was what, man. I didn't even know the gravity of the word. And,
Man, I was
you know,
punching
what was
people in the
going on.
face in 5th grade.
I was just thinking like, hey, I'm new and I'm trying to fit in around here, and you know, it's just gonna take some time, kind of thing. I didn't even realize it was because I was black. Because like I remember having dope man Nikes and everybody else had them Adidas, and they would always be like, "You got those ghetto shoes on," and I would be like, "What? Like these dope man Nikes are cool. What you talking about?"
You definitely was
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, just on a serious tip about it, that's why, just when you think about people being silent on stuff like that, like there were adults that have seen that. Now, obviously, if you're in 5th grade or 4th grade, you can't necessarily expect the children to be all that mature. You would hope that there's some kids that's going to want to do the right thing. But, like, it's just crazy to me to think that there are teachers. There's a teacher that saw that happening that,
Man.
I'm not going to get involved. And even
Right.
if you're not, let's say your teacher wasn't racist. She didn't believe that, but she just thought that it was unimportant enough to where I'm not even going to bother to get, that's just kids being kids.
It's like the Indian girl. I don't want their problems.
Yeah, she had to know what was going on.
She like, I got 10 more years to my pension. I'm good.
Right.
Don't come in with
I'm
this.
retired. Right. I ain't got time for this, man. I'm retired soon.
She'd be like, we gonna have to meeting after work about this. No, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying
Sensitivity
just 15
training.
minutes. Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. So enough of my sad life story. Let's move on to somebody else's sad life story. South African Chainsaw Massacre. I came across this story on the number one news source in America, TMZ.
Yeah, man.
And it says the South African triathlete was attacked with a chainsaw, and apparently some dudes try to hack his legs off.
No. Okay, first of all, like I'm clicking the link on the TMZ. Why the only picture they got of this dude is him in the leotard, the sprinting leotard with his meat all hanging out? Why I got to see that, man? Why couldn't they just crop that out?
He's a sprinter, man. He's a sprinter.
Right.
What else he gonna wear?
You can just send me
Some
waist
baggy
up.
jeans?
You can just show me.
Be a track athlete, bro. Why you want him to be in a suit, in a 3-piece suit?
I don't need to see the bag. I don't need to see the bag out there, man. They could just crop that from the waist up. That's all. I don't need to see all that, man.
I don't even see that on the link on that I'm looking at. So
Yeah, it said it was the top picture. It was a top picture on there when I first opened it. So it says this dude was out biking in some city called Durban. It said when he came across, it says 3 lunatics, and he said that he thought the men was gonna rob him. So he was like, "Here, y'all can have a bike and whatever else I got." And the people, he was like, then they dragged him off to the side of the road into some bushes. And he saw a saw. They took the saw out and they started cutting at his legs, man.
A
said the only reason
chainsaw.
yeah, a chainsaw. The only reason why they didn't chop his legs completely off is because they said the saw blade was too dull to go through the bone.
Wow. That sounds like a cult.
Yeah,
Sounds like he owed somebody some money.
It sounds hard to believe, actually. I mean, just like who going around just like, hey, let's just cut this random dude's legs off.
Who's running around with a chainsaw? I mean,
Hey, if you owe somebody some money and you a sprinter, what's the most important thing to you?
Them legs.
Them legs.
Yeah, but okay, you walk around with a machete, a chainsaw.
Look, dog. This is what happened. We've all seen Scarface. We've all seen the bathroom scene. We know what happened. This dude was carrying major weight. Had a connection, skipped out on him. They caught up to him on the bike, and they tried to reenact that scene. That's all that happened, man. This is what this dude's doing, man. Come on, this doesn't make any sense. Just as a random incident, I don't believe
that. That is racist, and I detest that you saying just because this man is black, he from South Africa, that he's involved in some drugs.
Scarface was brown people, man, and I'm saying Scarface was brown people. I'm no race in this.
Man, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a crazy story. I mean, I think when you get to, like we talked about the rural effect with, a lot of these racist stories, the same thing happens, in poor nations, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I've never been to South Africa. I don't know which part. I know there's some wealthy parts and I know there's some poor parts too. So, it can be, he might have just been in a really rural area where a lot of violence and thing go down. But I mean, that's just crazy that you're gonna get a chainsaw, try to cut off somebody's legs. But I mean, crazy stuff like that happens in these impoverished nations.
Yeah, so Durban is actually a really big city. Actually, it's like very urban. Unless he was out, it's very urban, very very like cosmopolitan urban. It's probably one of the nicest cities in South Africa, actually. But I don't feel bad for the dude just because of the picture, man. Just hey, I don't need to see a picture. Just have you in a tuxedo or in a regular t-shirt and jeans. I don't need to see you with the bag hanging out. And so that makes me not like you, man. You just got your package on my face, so I can't rock with this dude. I'm sorry.
So you'll go be getting a leg
the first time you had a package in your face.
I'm sorry, dog. I'm sorry, dog.
Let's be honest.
I'm sorry.
Most used word today, rural.
Yeah, rural. Right. Exactly.
Oh man! So Paul didn't even think he calling fake news on it. He don't even think it happened.
I'm just dismissing it because of the ball bag, man. I can't rock with it, man. I just can't rock with it. Pause. As soon as I saw the article, as soon as I saw the picture, I said pause. That's it, dog. Sorry.
Okay.
Hey, yo, real talk though. I'm glad that they were unsuccessful in cutting off my man's legs, yo. Yeah. I'm sure that's. I mean, that's got to be a traumatizing situation, Definitely. But the fact that the chainsaw was too dull, so he got his legs. He's able to save his legs. Like, yo, I'm happy for that brother.
Hey, you still probably never
did they catch the guys?
There ain't nobody to catch, man.
They know who they
fake.
were.
There ain't nobody to catch. Ain't nobody to catch. It's made up story, man. It didn't happen. This dude want to get on TMZ South Africa. That's all he wanted to do. That's it.
Man, TMZ don't make up stories. What are you talking about?
Is Rick Ross alive or dead? Is Rick Ross alive or dead? You answer that.
What did TMZ say?
They said he was dead. What's he
at right now?
They didn't say
he was dead. They said he was in the hospital.
Yes, they did. They said he was dead.
No, they didn't. They said he was in the hospital.
They said he was dead. They reported him dead.
On life support.
They said he was dead. There was a story that came out. He was dead, and he is
fine.
That man
about life support.
That man is eating some spicy buffalo wings right now. He's good. So that
it's possible that one of their sources that they talked to said that he died and that person, had told him he was in the hospital and had given him good information. That happens, and I'm sure if they actually did print that, they printed a retraction after the fact. This type of story, and I mean, it's possible that the dude lied about this, but like, why would you lie about it? Like, how do you go in and your legs are halfway cut off?
Dog, he owed somebody some money. His girl caught him cheating on him. He had to come up with some story. This makes perfect sense.
But either way, he got his legs cut with a chainsaw.
He could have cut it he could have done it himself, man.
Oh, stop it, man! Stop it.
Who owns a chainsaw? That's dull.
Somebody mute Paul's mic right now. Mute his mic. Right. We moving on to the next story, man.
Conspiracy brother, you're not. Oh man, the one conspiracy brother, he's not gonna back me up on this. Ryan, you taught me the.
All right, we gonna go on to the next story anyway. So this one, we gonna bring it back, and we gotta have some humor at the end of the show, y'all. So I was on the Facebooks, and of course I ran across this particular. You get those little commercial tabs, or click this and buy this T-shirt, and I looked down and it said AB to JC. A hip-hop inspired ABC children's book. And I was like, what the heck? And so I pulled it up, and it said, if you're having alphabet problems, I feel bad for you, son. And I was like, what? So at this point, I was laughing. I was like, is this real? This can't be real. Yep, it's real. And it is from thelittlehomie.com. And it says, there will be an abundance of books to teach your kids about balls, cats, and apples. But who's going to teach them about the realest alphabet? And it is literally a letter for each hip-hop artist.
So who is Z?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Might be Jay-Z. I said all
Probably.
they got on the website here, they got A is for Akon, B is for Biggie Smalls, C is for Coolio. Now,
Hold on. Okay, hold on.
Kid that's doing ABCs, they don't know who Coolio
Okay,
is.
once again,
And D is for Dr. Dre.
Pause.
Hey, what is X? DMX?
Probably.
A is for Akon. Is that what you said?
Yes, A is for Akon.
A is for Akon. Oh, dog. Okay, come on. What, AZ? Come on. What is this? This is trash. Akon. Akon doesn't even rap. What is this?
Nobody
garbage.
Respects AZ, man.
Oh,
This is
Paul,
trash.
why are you racist against Africans? we need to talk about this.
Because AZ is Dominican, so that's why I'm rocking with him.
I'm rocking with Akon. This brother went back home over there. Well, actually, he's from like East St. Louis, but he went back over to Africa. This dude has brought lights to so many
Is he from East St. Louis for real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or if he's not from there, he lived there for like growing up.
What?
I don't know if that's
Wasn't there like some stories about him and like little girls or something?
I don't know about that.
Uh-oh.
I agree. Look, A is for
like
Akon.
little girls
is
at
trash.
his like underage girls at his concert and stuff.
I think he was supposed to, at one point in time, they said he was married to like 5 women or something like that. Like he was.
Oh, well, I mean, he's from, probably from, wherever he's from in Africa, you probably can have multiple wives.
Yeah, he was born, well, this says St. Louis, but so I know he lived on the east side for a while. He's from the St. Louis area, let's just say that. But he is, his family is from Senegal. And I know he's gone back to Senegal. He's gone back to a bunch of other African nations and brought like solar power and brought electricity to a lot of these nations that don't have electricity. So I'm not about to sit here and
brought back 4 extra wives.
Slander. Not standing for the Akon slander. A is for Akon.
But the important thing is M for Migos.
Who can we come up with better?
Gotta be.
Who can we come up with somebody better? No, you can have. I'd rather have MC Hammer than Migos.
Yeah, anybody with the Migos, man. You know where I stand on the Migos.
I think
in 5 years, I'm sure they'll be. Everybody says they're good. I don't listen to them. I'm too old and trash for that. But I'm sure they're good. They just they're just not the overall cultural phenomenon that like somebody else that with a more deserving name could be.
No, I think M gotta be for Migos. And
how come it's not Eminem? How come it's not Eminem?
That's with an E, fool.
Sir.
This is the Ebonics. This is the Ebonics.
Paul clearly needs to read this book because he's having trouble with spelling and literacy.
You need this book, man. And let's read some customer feedback. It says Cody's new alphabet book finally came in. It's even better than I thought it would be! ! Thank you, @LittleHomie, for our book. We love it. All right, so I don't know who Cody is, but he's probably white. I don't know any black people named Cody, so I'm not really sure how I feel about it.
Okay, but for L, like, there's like 400 people named Little, so like, who's gonna get the L? Is it Lil Wayne,
Lil John?
Lil Kim, Little John?
Lil
Yeah,
John?
it could be it could literally be anybody. It's not.
Yeah, it could be.
But that's like the brilliance of this whole idea, right? So you got this book, to help children read. I like the idea. It's a dope idea because you're trying to make things relevant, like the fact that
because all the 5-year-olds are out there checking for Akon right now. Yeah,
Actually, the pictures on here don't even have black kids on here.
what?
I got some black kids on here.
Not really. That's a white girl.
Yeah.
There's a Latin dude. That little boy might be mixed at the most. No black kids though.
There are some black kids on here.
I don't see any.
But either way,
G is for the game.
I think when it comes to like educating kids, like you got to do different things. You got to expose people to different stuff. So, just like Black Panther is all the rage because, it's got a black director, black actors. So I think some kids, like, they going to feel this. Now, some of these, Akon, like I said, a kid who's just learned to read, they don't know who Akon is. So the brilliance of this is that you can have different editions. So this is a first edition, and they try to go maybe get some of the old school cats out the way. But then next year they can come out with a new edition where M is for Migos. You know, the M in this one might be for Master P. Where I'm from, that's what the M would be for, Master P. But I like it, man. I think it's dope.
Ish the Brown delegation disrespectfully disagrees with you on this issue. Look, as the parent of a 3.5-year-old kid who's learning his ABCs and whatnot, like this book is trash. He is not going to read this book. It would not stand a candle to Baby Shark. Ryan, you know what I'm talking about. Baby Shark Baby all Shark. Day long. Blow this thing out. Look, first of all, he ain't gonna look at this damn book. If this book ain't on some damn YouTube channel that's got some video with like some little sharks dancing around or something like that, he ain't gonna watch this mess. So A-B to Jay-Z, get it out of here. I'm sorry. It's a no-go with me. Sorry. Hate to say it.
I need you to do a test. I need you to get the little shark book, and I need you to buy this book and put it in front of your kid and see which one they go to.
Look, sir.
And I'm going to put my money.
Nothing can beat this. Nothing
You're
can
about to
beat
take
this.
the biggest L in world history.
Hold on. Here we go. Nothing can stop this.
Oh, God. Oh, God. No.
I got to play it for you.
Nightmares.
It's nothing more addictive than this song.
Oh, my nightmares.
Here it go, Paul.
No.
Drop.
Get it. Hey, that song is terrible. It's got 4 billion YouTube views, guaranteed.
Yes, it does, man.
Oh, I believe it.
Look, it's so popular they got other channels
subscribers.
making it. There's other channels making copies of it. That's literally what's going on. Like other channels, like, oh man, we missed out on the Baby Shark game. We got to get into this Baby Shark game. So they make their own little crappy videos.
My daughter was singing Baby Shark for at least 6 months straight, and that was her joint. She was watching it over and over and over again to the point I was humming it at work. I was humming it on the way home from work. It didn't matter, man. I just couldn't get it out of my head, man. I don't know. Shout out to the little homie. I'm not dissing you because of what you made. It's always an accomplishment. I really love the art in the art book. I'll say that. Just thought it was funny when I ran across it. Get your money.
Y'all need to be rooting for this book, because here's the thing. So y'all listen to the little Wax Shark song, and I know kids like little
Shark song is fire,
funny stuff. My sister sang the Barney song every single day for like 2 years, like all the time. So, but this is the thing. If y'all support this book, if y'all buy this book for your kids, then maybe your kids gonna be like, yo, Dad, can you put in that Dr. Dre? And instead of singing the Shark song, they're gonna be like 1, 2, 3 until the 4. I guess that's Snoop Doggy Dogg, and Dr. Dre.
I don't want my kids singing that. I don't want my kids singing that.
You don't want your son singing the Chronic?
No. Did you hear what it sounded like coming out of your mouth?
Look, I look forward to the day when my kid's singing "Life's a Bitch" and then you die to me. So I look forward to that. That'll make me shed a tear right there. But I'm looking at this Instagram feed, Ryan, that you got of this dude's picture. These kids look too happy. They all look too smooth. These kids, all with the stylish hats and the cool hair and this little stupid book, man, get it out of here. These people look too happy. This ain't how parenting really should be. Get it out of here. I'm not with it. Sorry.
Now, Ryan, y'all hate on the Migos, right? Explain to me why you hate on the Migos.
Why do we hate
Just
the Migos?
very briefly.
Well, one, because they thought they were the best rap group of all time. I mean, I kind of chuckled at them before. They were kind of like the Master P of this particular generation. And I'm fine with that. Get your money. It's catchy. But them dudes be like, pots, pans, spoons, forks. Like, nigga, that's lame. I'm going to need you to write something down, get some bars. Don't just walk into the studio and start recording. And, you know, that's really my only beef with it, that you actually think you dope. Just get your money and it's fine. But don't
take those vocals right there, add a trap beat to it. We can make some money off that song right there.
They already made the song. We would just be copying their stuff.
Right. So y'all think the Migos are trash, right? I don't think they're trash. I don't think they're for me. I don't think they're trash. But okay, let's just work on your position. The Migos is garbage. So if I get this book to one of y'all sons, that might inspire one of y'all sons to like really sit down and
cook
learn
up crack
how
with
to
the
write
Uzi.
some bars, man. Yeah. So in 15 years, we got the next Tupac or Biggie, all because of this book. And y'all are hating on this
Can we
book.
get a little love for Big Pun in here? Can we get a little Big Pun?
That's like a straight nightmare, man. My teenage son wanted to be a rapper.
Yeah. I think it is only like hip hop, like the upper echelon of hip hop, like
My kid can't even talk right now. He already sounds better than Silk the Shocker, so we good, man.
Look, my only beef with the book is that B is for Biggie when everybody knows it should be for Boosie.
Stop it.
Stop. Bass God. Yeah, we should have a bass God for B. Okay.
Yeah. Little B. Anyway. we had our laugh. I think we had our laugh for today, so it might be time to shut it down. Ish. If you could tell our listeners where they can find us.
You can find us on Twitter. We are at Black Delegates. There is an underscore between Black and Delegates. We are also on Facebook. You can either just use that search, or it is at Black Delegates Pod on Facebook. And we are just generally out here in these streets, man. So just look for us. Just hit Paul up on the two-way. Again, he don't rock with the social media.
Do not.
You can hit me up at Ghetto Phenom. Ryan, you can hit him up at The Black Ryan. That's both on Twitter. And G also is not a social media user, so I think he got a little burner account. But we don't know the name.
Hey,
so we had to find this burner.
Hey, what is underscore?
So underscore is like just a little underline. So like,
okay, I know what you're saying now.
Because at Black Delegates it was taken because some other fool took it before us. We had to put a little underscore in between. So thank you for pointing that out. It is a little piece of shame for us that we had to use an underscore. So I'm glad that you pointed us out on the show that we got to have Black underscore delegates.
I've always wanted to know what that was. I heard people say that, but I know exactly what you're talking about, though. The little line, yeah.
And if there's any Migos stands out there listening, please send all that hate to Ryan at gmail.com.
Hey, don't even message me.
Right.
Don't at me in your mentions, because guess what? I don't even care, because I know the Migos trash. Now, odds are I'm probably going to run directly into one of the Migos, and I'm going to be looking like Joe Budden, and they're going to be wanting to fight me. But guess what? I'm down with Joe Budden, too. What?
You better hope Migos don't have like a Beyonce type following.
No, they ain't got that. It's cool. Again, get your
I
money.
Look like I was left off Bad and Bougie.
The Migos hive.
Wow.
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all for listening.
Oh yeah, wait. You got to make sure if y'all can, please share, rate the podcast on iTunes. Let your friends know. Tell your partners, tell your cousins, your brothers to actually listen to the podcast and rate the podcast. That'd be cool if we can get this out to as many people as possible. But other than that,
man, you ain't got to beg them people. Listen.
Yeah, we do.
We ain't about to beg y'all to like. We know we don't. We know you gonna like it, so we ain't about to beg nobody.
Well, I'm begging.
But you can
because
find
I don't
us
want to do a podcast
on...
nobody's listening to.
Yeah, I guess you got a point. But with that, I think we have stretched out this exit for as long as possible. So appreciate y'all for listening. We will be back with you next week. Appreciate you, G, for coming on. How'd you like the show? I'm gonna extend this a little bit more, even though I said I want to get G's thoughts on your first podcast experience.
I was a little nervous at first, because I'm sitting here talking into this mic or whatnot. But it got easier as the time went on.
Cool. It's like that. Nothing to be nervous about, man. Just talking with the homies. All right. So that's
I didn't want to mess up.
If you did, I'll just edit it out. Don't worry about it. All right.
Paul has set a very low bar.
That's right. Exactly.
Right. As long as your audio is actually recorded, you good to go. Because this brother on his last leg, he about to get fired.
I'm on double probation.
I'm already looking on ZipRecruiter for a podcast host, so maybe he can be replaced. All right. So that's it, y'all. End of the episode. See y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.